What's up, guys? This is Kephas. Welcome to Final Fantasy XIV, everyone. I am here today to answer one of the big questions that I had, and it was mostly about my UI when it comes to this game. So I'm going to show off some things that I do with the game to make the game more accessible for me through the UI. Now, Final Fantasy XIV. Now, I've mostly been a WoW player, and I'm somewhat new to Final Fantasy. I like to play both games. I still enjoy WoW, and I enjoy Final Fantasy as well. WoW's advantage is that it allows you to use add-ons to customize your UI. Final Fantasy XIV doesn't allow that, but what it does do is it allows you to do a lot of customization yourself in the game through a lot of the options that it provides. And also it has native controller support. So those two things primarily are great in allowing me to do a lot of cool things to make my UI much easier to use and much easier to follow. So we're going to demonstrate some of that today. One of the first things that I can say is that I can make my panels different sizes. So like I already have a high resolution, which makes my panels a little bit larger than what most people need. Most people can probably scale them down, but if you open up each panel, you can see that they are, they're a little bit bigger maybe than what most people would need, people that don't have a visual impairment. But if you right click each panel, you can go here and hit scale window, and you can actually scale them as big as you want or as small as you want. I've got this one at 90, and like I said, I have a pretty high resolution, so it's really big. So like I've got a high like DPI or whatever it's called. I don't know. I'm not my terminology, whatever. So, and you can do that with every window, including even like the quest log and dialogues. You can do it with those windows. You can move them around on the screen wherever you want, and the game will remember. Really cool stuff that you can do there. Obviously, you can increase font size in your chat window. By default, you can increase, a lot. It actually has in-game sounds that you can add to different chat channels. So if you want to, know when, for me, I can't see very well. I need to know when my party is trying to get my attention, talking to me. I can hear a sound, and then I can look down at the chat window. So I don't have to see that all the time. I actually have it hidden right now because I'm making a video, but you get the idea. Now, you can see here that most of my screen isn't showing anything. I've got most of my UI hidden because I'm a minimalist. So when I'm out in the world doing stuff, I don't need to look at a lot of stuff. I don't need to see too much. So like when I hold down a trigger, that's when it brings up my hotbar. Now, what's cool is if I'm playing with a controller, as you guys might know. I like to play with a controller. I feel more comfortable doing that because I'm mostly a console gamer. When I hit left stick down, it activates a macro that I've created, which shows my UI and also draws out my weapon. So I like to think of this as combat mode. If I hit it again, my weapon is sheathed, and that goes away. So that's one little macro that I've done. You can actually go into the controller settings, and for your right stick and left stick, when you press those down, you can assign macros to them. So you can do something like that, and that's pretty cool. My other macro for right stick is it allows me to summon my mount, which I'm summoning my fat chocobo, and he can actually fly, which I think is awesome, and I love this game so much. This fat chocobo is incredible. I can hit that again to make him land, and then I can press it again to put him away. Now, if I'm in like an area where I can't fly or summon a mount, then it will allow me to sprint, which is an ability that you have from the start, allow you to run faster for a short time. And every job or class has that ability. So that's another option for when I can't mount up. So that's a macro that I've created. And I'll show some of my macros off in a little bit. So if I actually show my UI, though, you can see here I've got things on the top left, where the health bars are, usual place for your health bars. Now, I don't have my own health bar shown. It's called like the parameter bar or something like that. And that's because everything I need to know is right up here in the party window. I just keep that up at all times. I have the solo mode enabled, so whether I'm in a party or I'm by myself, it's always right there. It also shows my buffs, debuffs, all of that kind of stuff. And then I've got my special buffs right above that on the top left. You can see like, my guild buffs are also there as well. So you'll see my buffs here, and then my health is there. I can kind of peek over and look at that. Also, whenever you go into battle, you'll actually have a health bar that pops up above your head. So for my own health, I can keep track of it there. So the only thing I really need to use my party bar for, or my health bar for, is to know how much mana I have. But when I get used to how battle works, I tend to not even need to know that. I can kind of feel it out. So I really don't have to look at my health bar all that often. It's actually very nice. Just little things that this game does by default makes it significantly more accessible than other games. So it's really cool. Now, like I said, I play with the controller, so you can see I use the cross hotbar on the bottom here. So if I hold down right trigger, then I can use these 8 abilities, and if I hold down left trigger, I can use these. It's a combination of your face buttons and the D-pad, so that's how that works. Now, if I hold down left trigger and right trigger, then I get access to 8 more. If I hold down right trigger and left trigger, then I get access to even more buttons as well. So these are all changed when you switch to a different job. You can have access, like each job has their own hotbar. So, that allows me to assign different, abilities, obviously, per job on the hotbar. And I try to make them match up as much as possible. Similar jobs with similar abilities, I try to put them on the same button so it's easy for me to like have that muscle memory, ready to go. Okay, so that's kind of the idea there. Now, one cool thing that I can do is I can like double tap the trigger, and then it opens up this like access to different menu options. So like if I double tap and hit triangle, it'll open up my spell book. So I can kind of like, I can navigate this with the cursor here, and I can see all my spells. I can add them to the bar. I can even switch over to my mouse if I want to like navigate with my mouse. It's not a big deal. So I can do that. Like I can double tap to get these, and then I can double tap on this side to get these, and I can open up different menus here as well. So I can open up my hunting log, which is completed, so I really don't need to open that up much anymore. But still, it's kind of there, and it's kind of nice. I can get access to all these other buttons as well. So there's a lot of cool things that you can go into the options and do. Aside from just like how the HUD is laid out, you can do a lot of cool options inside, going into your settings and just tooling around in there for a little bit, which is really cool. So that's another example of just like little things that you can do to have accessibility. Now, one thing I really enjoy is if I hit the pause button, this is like if you're playing with a controller, if I hit start, then I'll access this really cool menu that gives me all the menu options, so I can navigate. I can see all the different frames that I need to see, all the different panels. I can exit the game, obviously, all that kind of stuff. Go into settings, look at my macros. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do there, which is also very accessible because it's very easy to read. So let's go ahead and look at the HUD layout now, so I can show you a little bit about that. And so if you go to HUD layouts, what's cool here is that you can see that you can actually create 4 different types of HUDs, which I have here, and these are all for the various different types of roles in the game. So the first one is for DPS characters, so it has a specific type of HUD. Most of them are the same right now because it's just an idea that I have. So for DPS, this is the standard HUD layout. For tanks, there might be a couple extra frames showing up, like enemy frames. I can keep track of how many enemies there are. For healers, I might move my health bars over closer to me so that I can see them because my peripheral vision is really bad and I need to have access to that. So, and then the last one is for gatherers. Now, I don't keep my minimap up because I'm not really in situations where I benefit from my minimap very often, because maybe it'd be more beneficial in like a raid setting or in something like that. But out in the world, I don't feel like I really need to use that. But when I am gathering stuff like ore, or I'm chopping down trees, that kind of thing, then I do need it because it shows me where all the nodes are. So that's only for that, and it's obviously very huge, as you can see. If I click on the minimap panel here, and I can obviously drag this around wherever I want, but if I click on this setting here, I can actually scale this up like the other panels, and that would go for anything on this HUD layout. I can set this up and scale it up and move it anywhere I want, which is actually pretty cool. So it allows you to scale up pretty much everything that you see, you can pretty much scale up or down as you need to. So, but I keep this on 2 for tanks. Like I said, all the UIs are kind of the same right now, except for that last one. But the reason why I don't need my minimap is because if I press the X button when I don't have a target, or I'm not trying to use a spell, it opens up this map, and I can kind of quickly see where I am, and I can look where the quests are, where things are happening, and then I can go out. And if I look at where my quest objectives are, I can even like warp to different places. So if there's a like one of these warp things, I can click on that. I can warp there right through this map, and then when I don't need to look at it, I can just put it away. I've actually adopted something very similar to this in WoW through add-ons and stuff like that because I prefer it. It's nice not to have a map that's always there, but one that's at the ready whenever I need it. Now it may come down to the fact that in the future I will need my minimap up at all times, and I can just turn it on, so it's not a big deal. Now, what's really cool is this is something that I learned that you can do through macros, through some ideas that other people have had, and I've kind of incorporated it into my own UI. On the bottom right here, you can see, you know, like where my money is. You can see the time of day, if I have any mail, which I don't, but you can see this plus sign. If I click on that, it brings up this bar, and it's got these other options here. If I click on it again, it hides it. So then there's that. Now, this is all the different roles in the game. So if I hit the tank section, it allows me to switch to all of my different tank classes. So I'm a paladin right now. I can switch over to warrior. So as you can see now, my abilities have changed. My UI has changed a little bit down there. And I have a different set of armor on because I am now a warrior. Like, if you didn't know, you can be every class on one character. They're called jobs in this game, not classes, but you can be every single class in the game on one character. So I've gone through and I've unlocked every class. I've unlocked all the gems for each class. I can switch to Dark Knight. I can switch to, you know, Gunblade. And then if I hit this one, same thing, DPS. Now I can switch to Monk. So now I'm running around as a monk. I've got my monk abilities. And so I've got this cool UI set up where I can just click on whatever and I can, you know, switch to those classes very easily without having to go into like some crazy menu. And what's cool is this will also change the UI to the different UI modes, the different HUD modes, 1, 2, 3, or 4, depending on which role I've chosen. So I have one for healing as well. I can switch to my white mage role if I want to. And then I have ones for gathering. So like gathering and crafting. Now I don't have any clothes for those, so this is going to make me go naked. But if I switch to miner, my minimap pops up. And now I'm a miner. I need to get clothes for this guy, especially because it's cold out here. So I don't have to maybe think about not doing that. But we'll go back here, and I want to switch back to my paladin, and there you go. So that's one cool thing that I can do. I've got this set up where I can kind of have a drop down, or in this case, a drop up and a drop side. I can have this custom menu that I've made. Now, this is something that I did through macros. So let me show off a number of the macros that I've created. If I go into user macros here. Now, a lot of these macros are failed attempts, so don't just ignore all these. You can't macro in Final Fantasy XIV like I can in WoW. So these do not work. None of these work. I won't use them. Don't worry. But if you look down here, this is my combat mode. So this is the one where I hide and show my UI and bring out my weapon. Really cool. And then this is my mount one. So this is like where, oh, we're in the middle of a fight. We need to move out of the way so we don't get attacked. So this is the mount one. So when I hit the right stick, it does that. Now, on this section, I've got all these cool macros. So if you look down here, the plus sign and the minus sign are for toggling and hiding the different hotbars. So if you do this one, it'll show certain hotbars that I have set up, and this one will hide all those hotbars. So I've got different hotbars that it toggles, and that's basically how this is done. Is you have 10 hotbars, and you can toggle them, and you can project other hotbars on to the hotbars that you're wanting to show. So basically, every class in the game has their own hotbars, okay? So what's cool is when you start out when you want to play a paladin, you start out as a gladiator, okay? When you hit level 30, you can turn your gladiator into a paladin. Well, what's cool is your gladiator still exists. If you don't equip your class gem or what soul gem or whatever they're called, I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names, then you won't be a paladin. Now, you want to be a paladin all the time once you unlock it. You don't want to stay as a gladiator. But what you can do is you can use your gladiator's hotbars and project them onto your other hotbars and allow you to access things from those hotbars. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So let me demonstrate here. So if I go to tank here, it's copying my Lancer's fourth hotbar number 4, to hotbar number 6, which is this hotbar down here. Now, if I hit it, you can see I just hit the tank one. Now, my Lancer's fourth hotbar is now being shown on this one here. And it also hides any other hotbar. So if this hotbar is shown, when I hit this second line will copy the other hotbar that would be up here. So let me just kind of show this off in the HUD real quick, because it's really hard to explain. It took a lot of time to do this. So if you look down here, these are the hotbars, okay? So I've got hotbar 6 and hotbar 7 that are sitting right next to this other hotbar over here, which is where all these macros are created. Okay, these two bars from different classes are the ones that are projecting over here, right? So that's kind of the idea there, hotbar 4 and hotbar 5. Now, what I've done is go back to the macros. Let me go back down here. You can see my Arcanist doesn't have anything on their 4th and 5th hotbar. So when I have either one of these two hotbars switch to the Arcanist bar, then it makes them invisible. It makes them kind of seem like they're not there at all. So that's kind of the idea there. Now, the Lancer's bar is the one that has all of these different tank classes on them. So it's projecting that Lancer's 4th bar over to this one and allow them to show up there. That's kind of how that works. Now, the Lancer is what is the spear class that eventually becomes the Dragoon. So you don't play a Lancer once you unlock the Dragoon. So his bars are useless, and I can use them for stuff like this. So then you go to damage, and so now it's using the Gladiator's 4th bar to project here. So when I hit this, now the Lancer's bar disappears, and now the Gladiator's bar is what's showing, and he's got all the DPS ones, okay? When you go to healing, kind of the same idea. We're now using the Lancer's 5th bar, which would be the one that would be up here. And when I hit this one, it's now showing all of my healing spells, okay? Now, if I go over to the crafting ones, it's now using the Archer's 4th bar, same idea, showing those. And then the last one, Archer's 5th bar, and that's for the gathering professions or jobs, whatever they're called. Okay, and so then these are all those macros that are on those different bars that are then projected to these bars. So now when I hit this, it all gets cleared away. Now they're all toggled off. And all the extra bars, where the projection bars, we'll call them, are now switched back to the Arcanist, so they become invisible again. So that's kind of how that works. So what's cool about that is, like, all you have to do is you just create a macro for each job, which I've done here. It shows the soul of the paladin, which is the item that you need to be a paladin. That's the macro icon, and then it changes the HUD layout to 2, and it changes my class to 1, which is the slot where my paladin's armor set is. So the way that you change your class in this game is by changing your weapon, and then that class can then use different types of armor. When you save your armor sets, you go to the gear sets list, and so here's all the gear sets. So I have them listed in a certain order, and that way, so when I go and use the macro, it'll switch to that gear set, and then I'll become a paladin. Now if I switch over to warrior and I say equip set, I'm now a warrior. You see how it works? So that's kind of what the macro will do. So the macro equips the gear set and then switches the HUD to whichever HUD that I'm wanting to use. So that's how it's meant to work. So there we go. Now I'm a warrior. I can switch back to a paladin, and there you go. So that's some cool little things that I can do without having to force myself to like navigate a lot of different UI elements. I can just use these cool macros. I don't know where I learned this from. I watched a bunch of different videos on YouTube, and a lot of people have a lot of cool ideas they've done. So I've kind of taken a lot of people's different ideas and kind of made them my own and done my own thing. But what else is cool about this game? We'll do some fighting here, nothing crazy. But when I hit the A button, I'm looking at an enemy. I hit the A button, it targets it. If I do it again, then it focuses on it. And now my camera is focused around that enemy, so I can kind of move around and navigate around the enemy. So if I get up close to it, I'll then I can hit my different abilities, and I'll start attacking. So I'm just honestly not paying too much attention. I'm literally just hitting random abilities so that it looks cool. Because I'm still learning how to play all these classes. I've got a long way to go in this game. But I'm just using all of my different abilities, building up my powers, that kind of thing. And I'm just working out, just taking this enemy down. Now, as you can see, it has a health bar above it, so I can see how much health it has. And if you look at my health bar, whenever I start fighting, I have a health bar that shows up, and I can see, how much damage I'm taking and keep track of my own health right in front of the screen. So I don't have to look away over to my health bar to see what is going on, which is really cool. So as you can see, there are a lot of really cool things that this game does to make it very accessible. A lot of cool ideas that you can have with using macros, with different HUD customizations, different things that you can do with the controller to make the game significantly easier. So I hope that I explained that a little bit. There's a lot more that I could talk about this game. Again, I would love to know if you guys would like to see more from this game. I would love to make more content about it. But as a visually impaired person, I can say that this game is pretty accessible with what it has out of the box, allowing you to do in the game. So like I said, I'm happy to keep playing it. I'm definitely enjoying it a lot. I could talk all day about this game. It's really fun. But I hope that maybe if you're out there, you want to try a different MMO, you're visually impaired like me, or you have another disability, I would encourage you to give Final Fantasy XIV a try. Take your time with the UI. There are a lot of cool options that you can do to make the game easier for yourself. So by all means, feel free to give it a try. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you'd like to see more from this game, different things you'd like to see me talk about this game, and if so, I will be glad to do that. And until then, I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking that like button, and feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and if you'd like, you can support this channel on Patreon. Links to all of this can be found in the description below. This is Kephas. Until next time.